Right, since the last video, I've added, well, I've neatened up everything because I just kind of launched it in, and I didn't really want to bore you with how I got all the effects and stuff like that. So I've just put it into a reasonable format so we can actually look at it without our eyes burning. And I've started adding the box for the next chart, which is going to be our window chart. Okay, and first thing we're going to do is label this. So this was date selection, and then whatever I had in the top here, I don't remember. It was, let's have a look. 6-month window, gas and electricity usage. Let's just copy that out of it. Okay. What we need to do in order to get this chart working, first of all, is enable this developer tab up here. If you don't know how to do that, there's plenty of videos which will show you how to do that on YouTube, and loads of kind of text tutorials as well on places like Chandu and Mr. Excel. Once we've got the developer tab open, we need to go to this controls form, go to insert, and insert a form control. Don't insert an ActiveX control, as that won't work. You need a form control, and it's called scroll bar. Click on that. Now what we can do is click and drag. It doesn't matter how big you do it, how small you do it for now, because we can adjust it afterwards once it's in. So let's just resize this to a reasonable size. There we go. And we need to link this to a cell in order to get it working dynamically. So I'm going to link it to this cell, V7. So right click on the slider, click on Format Control, and in this Control tab you've got a little box here called Cell Link. Left click on that and then stick it into whichever cell you're going to use. In my case it's V7, little square, and you want a minimum and a maximum value. I'm going to leave it at default at the moment of 100. And basically the way this works is every time I click on this it adds another one on, so 2, 3, 4, you get the idea, and it's going to count up to whatever you set the maximum value as. Now unfortunately you can't use cell references, otherwise you'd be able to use like a counter function and count the number of months in here, and therefore it would always work 100% dynamically, but unfortunately you can't do that with this control, so I'm going to leave it at 100 just to allow myself kind of future rows which I'm going to put in the future, months I'm going to put in. Okay, so once we've done that, we now need to create a formula which is going to read from this in order to deliver us a window, and we're going to use an offset function in order to do that, but we're not going to use an array, which is what you usually do when you use an offset. So we're going to type equals offset, open brackets. Now the reference, because we're going to be doing a chart on the total gas and electricity usage, we need the months as well, so I'm going to start here in January. I'm not going to lock this reference because it's going to be relative. As we scroll down, it'll pull everything down for us. Comma, rows, number of rows, how many rows does it want me to move down? Well, I want it to move down the number of rows that exist in this cell reference right here, F4 to lock that off. Columns, for the moment I don't need to add any columns because I want to sit in the date field, the month field, sorry, so I don't need to do that. I'm just going to need to delete the cell reference it put in there. So I'm going to comma that off. We don't need any height or width because we're not using an array. Close brackets, and job's done. 3, 4, 5, 6. I need to format these to be a date. I'm going to do my custom date. There we go. Now when I drag this down, one more. There, all our dates are in. And as I click on this, it's January disappears, but then July comes onto the bottom, and then when I click it again, February disappears, but then August comes onto the bottom, and that's essentially how we create the windowed view. Now when you get over the table, it starts to go to January 1900, so you've just got to be careful of that. As I say, there's no, well, I don't know of a way to kind of dynamically use a cell reference to stop the number of, I'll explain it. So in here you've got like a maximum value. You can't use a cell reference, it's an integer only, so you've got to use an actual value. So yeah, a bit unfortunate. It's not really as dynamic as I'd like it, but it's going to allow us room for future proofing. Okay, take that back to the beginning. Now what we need to do is do the same formula, but we need to get across to the usage. Okay, so what I'm going to do, to make things simple, is actually I'm just going to drag this across. Now it's going to copy them all across as dates, so I'm just going to go format cells, and just put them back to general, and we'll put them in. So those two columns right there are the readings. We're not interested in those, we're interested in the usage, which is the next two columns across. So I can delete them two out, drag these two, and just move them back. So that's not going to change anything. Delete those as well. And that's our next two. So this is essentially our usage chart. So that's going to be month. Is that gas or electric first? Gas first, then electric. So I'll just type gas, usage, electric, oops, usage. Just going to center these off. Here we go. Put them in a borders if you like. Now when we highlight the entire chart, Alt F1, that gives us our table chart, sorry. And we're going to change the chart type to a line chart, and you can mess about with the different features. I'm just going to put the default one, and there it is. And now as we start to scroll through, you'll see that it all changes dynamically. Now you need to mess about with these labels. Again, not something I'm going to do here to bore you, just showing you how this formula works with the chart and with the table. So yeah, and essentially the other chart down here is exactly the same, but instead of reading from the usage, it's reading from the bill. So we've got usage and bill side by side, and we'll need to create a separate scroll bar and a separate cell reference and a separate offset function for those in exactly the same way. So I'll leave that video here. I hope you followed that along easily enough. If you're struggling with these, do drop us a message and I'll help you out if I can. And we'll see you on the next video.